We're good? Oh, there we go. Thank you. Spotted that thumbs up. Hi, everyone. I think we're going to get started. If folks want to find their seats or get cozy, make sure you grab your snack. Well, we're all ready. This is great. You're on time. I love it. Well, good evening. Thanks, everyone, for being here. And welcome to the 2025 Annual Town Hall, all about accessibility. My name is Rochelle Manette. My pronouns are they, them, and she, her, and I'm going to be your MC for the evening. I'm the chair of the Halifax Regional Municipality's Accessibility Advisory Committee, mouthful, which advises Regional Council on the impacts of municipal policies, programs, and services on persons with disabilities in our region. I'm joined by several committee members tonight. Wave, say hello. Yay, thank you. Who are providing support here in Paul O'Regan Hall. And I will officially call this meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. Yay. So the Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the Peace and Friendship Treaty signed in this territory and recognizes that we are all treaty people. The Accessibility Advisory's annual town hall serves as an opportunity for Halifax Regional Municipality business unit representatives that we have here to provide updates on the community to the community on current accessibility initiatives in the municipality and to hear feedback and input from you, our community, ultimately. And the scope of this town hall is specific to municipal responsibilities, so anything HRM, that's what we're looking at this evening. So staff are going to share updates on current projects, successes, and challenges faced by the municipality with respect to accessibility. And then upon completion of the updates of the business units, the floor will be turned over to the public, all of you, to ask questions and provide feedback to our panelists. Following the question and answer session, we're going to move to the booth component of the town hall, which is new for this specific event, so we're really excited about it. And this is going to be your opportunity to interact one-on-one with representatives of the municipality. And we also have folks from the Accessibility Directorate here this evening. So we have a little bit of provincial representation if there's something that us folks from the municipality cannot answer. We're thrilled to have all of you joining us here in Paul O'Regan Hall and virtually in Zoom on YouTube. Hello up there. I know where the cameras are. When we have questions, we'll have both questions from in the room and also from Zoom virtually. And those will be read by one of our moderators, one of our volunteers. A reminder that to provide your thoughts in these sessions virtually, advanced registration is required, and you would have to have been attending through Zoom. If you're watching from YouTube, there isn't a way to participate, but we love that you're joining us to hang out and watch and listen. Feedback and questions from tonight will comprise a report for the Executive Standing Committee, and your feedback will also help guide the creation of our committee work plan for 2026. And this is really important because we want to make sure that as an accessibility advisory committee, we're actually taking the information and the things that are important to the community at large and doing something with that. So we want to make sure that your concerns are brought forward so that we can do the work that is needed. As accessibility is a priority for this town hall and, hopefully for the municipality more broadly, there are cited guides available at this venue. Who are the cited guides right now? Will you also raise your hands? Yeah. And maybe we'll just check in at the doors and things like that. Cool. And if you require assistance moving throughout the room once you've been seated, please just raise your hand and a volunteer can come and assist you. And CART captioning services and ASL interpretation are included in the live stream. All right, so we're going to move on to the staff overview of accessibility successes, challenges, and updates, item on tonight's agenda. Each staff panelist will provide an overview of the work within their business unit since the last town hall in 2023, and will be available to take questions from attendees after all of the panelists have spoken. So we're going to go through the whole panel, and then we're going to do the Q&A afterwards. And so without further ado, our first speaker is Melissa Myers, Accessibility Advisor, Office of Diversity and Inclusion, and African Nova Scotian Affairs Integration Office.
Thank you. Can people hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. So welcome everyone. I'll just give a quick update as the accessibility alert. So in February, the Halifax Regional Council approved our new up-to-date accessibility strategy. The strategy implementation is supported by our internal accessibility task force committee. And that committee is the one that is actually looking at each recommendation and implementing each recommendation. The strategy includes 30 recommendations to improve accessibility within the municipality. So those 30 recommendations fall under built environment, transportation infrastructure, employment, goods and services. As the accessibility advisor for HRM, I'd like to highlight just a few achievements that HRM has made over the past year. So in June, I spoke with the business unit directors in regards to the new strategy. So I met with all directors to indicate that we have a new strategy. Also, we have educated over 55 employees with our training that's going from support to inclusion accessibility training. Also, I'm currently working with Halifax Regional Police on projects to improve accessibility within the police force. So this would include training police officers as well as auditing some police stations, to name a few. Also, some of you might be aware that in May of this year, we have partnered with Bird Canada to look at e-scooters. I'm sure everybody has seen that across the journey. And also with that program, they really included a flex fare and community pricing program as well. Currently, we are engaging with over 19 of our 30 recommendations, so we're on our way to completion of those recommendations. We also created multiple versions of our accessibility strategy. So we have a condensed version, we have a plain language version, and plain text. And later on at the booth, please feel free to come by, take a few copies if you like. We do have QR codes to all of our other strategies that you can find online. So under my leadership, the municipality continues to identify ways to improve accessibility and inclusion, both internally as we work with business units and externally as we work within our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Melissa. Our next speaker is Kara Evans, Coordinator to Commissioner of Public Safety.
Thank you. Is this on? Yep. Okay. Sorry. Thank you very much for having me. I'm Kara Evans. My pronouns are she, her, and as she stated, I'm the Coordinator to Community or Public Safety, a brand new portfolio in HRM. So I was the coordinator to community safety, which does report up to public safety. So I'm here to talk about a couple of programs that we do in community safety to advance accessibility to residents. So one of our biggest programs that we do have is a Volunteer Vulnerable Persons Registry, so our VVPR. It launched in November of 2024, and currently we have 334 residents signed up. So what this VVPR does is it allows residents who have accessibility constraints, vision, hearing, mobility, cognitive, or developmental challenges to have access to supports during times of weather events or emergencies. So how we do this is through our HFX Alert program. We are able to send out alerts to residents who are signed up to the program. We provide, during weather events, we provide notifications to the citizens in the area to prepare and shelter in place 72 hours before a weather event. So then what happens is we ask that those who need supports to let us know if they're capable or what their needs are, and we continue to provide follow-up messages throughout prolonged emergencies. So how that works is we send out a notification via email, text, or phone call, and the residents can reply to that as each platform allows it. Now, during a weather event or during events, we integrate this data with the police and fire data, which allows the police and fire services to recognize where there are someone with a vulnerability that needs extra supports. And then that allows for quick response without going through the emergency management office to reach that individual that requires assistance. There are challenges because it is a new program, but we are looking for opportunities for potential growth in partnerships with community to expand the services. Additionally, for our housing and homeless division, our team provides a lot of supports to those living in rough situations. So we provide supports through outreach. So we will provide transit passes so people can continue to reach out so they can reach their connections and their supports. We will also provide taxi chits so people can reach appointments in for their whether it's a housing, whether it's an outreach worker or social worker. We also work directly with the province when new shelters are being opened, and to ensure that people, if there is someone with an accessibility need, they can get the supports they need when they are transferred to the support of the province. And as I stated, we provide taxi and transit chits so people can have access to the communities and to get to where they need to be. We also provide supports within the designated areas in the municipality where we provide snow removal and brush control, so we can ensure the areas that they are living are as relatively safe as we can make them. And lastly, community safety in general. We are committed to inclusive hiring, and we do hire people with lived experience that helps better inform our practices as a business unit, and enriches our ability to really understand our community needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Next, we have Kim Jollymore, Director of Citizen Contact Centers.
Thank you. Good evening. I am Kim Jollymore, and my pronouns are she, her. I am the Director of the Customer Contact Centers, and that really, for everyone, it's 311 and the Customer Service Centers. 311 is Halifax Regional Municipality's non-emergency contact for municipal government information and services. We provide residents, businesses, visitors with a central point of contact for all of your municipal needs. We act as a triage center, so calls coming through to us, we provide the information that we can, we assist with emergency events and so on, stand up for those type of events. But the triage center is really, if you have a service request, we'll create that and ensure it gets to the correct business unit that provides the service. We're made up of two distinct customer service channels, the 311 center and our in-person customer service centers, and we have 3 of those. We have the 311 is dedicated to calls, emails, and online services. And our customer service centers provide in-person for many different things, such as tax payment, water bills, parking tickets, those types of things. The 3-1 Center is open 7 days a week, so we're open Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., and we're open Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 5:30. We also provide after-hour urgent services, so if you have an urgent need, you can still reach us and we will provide that service, but regular service is only open the hours I just mentioned, unless, of course, we're in an emergency event and that we've stood up 24/7 if needed, or a snow event or things like that. So we do extend our hours if we have an event. The in-person customer service centers are open 8:30 to 4:30. I'm not sure what I'm doing here. Should have wrote this down on paper. The computer's messing up here. The residents can contact us to find services and more information about many things, transit schedules and services, garbage collection and services, property tax, municipal facilities, animal services, bylaw, and just general information. And you can find a full list of all of what we provide services and information for at halifax.ca/311. Last year, we handled over 360,000 calls and over 57 emails from residents, visitors, and businesses. And our in-person centers handled over 60,000 transactions. You can reach us, as I mentioned earlier, by phone, online, or in person, but we also offer multilingual and access support for residents as well. We're very pleased, municipality is pleased to introduce a new sign language interpreter service for residents who contact 311. The video relay service provides real-time sign language interpretation for deaf, hard of hearing, and speech-impaired residents that sign. The free service will offer residents help when they call 311 to report issues, ask questions, and access information through a live ASL interpreter. When calling 311 or visiting a customer service center, residents who need communication in other languages other than English can request interpretation services in over 300 languages, and we'll bring an interpreter on or provide them at the customer service centers to assist. You can also contact us via email at contact@311.halifax.ca, and an agent will address your concerns with questions or concerns with a return email. I'm available to answer questions at the end of this, as mentioned, and we do have a table set up behind, and really welcome anyone that wants to drop by and learn more about any of the things I've just discussed. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Our next speaker is Ann Sherwood, Director of Transportation Design and Construction Services.
Thank you. My name is Ann Sherwood. I'm the Director of Design and Asset Management. We just had a change, but similar group of folks, and I'm here today to represent Public Works. My pronouns are she, her. Just wanted to take a minute to describe myself. For those who may have a visual impairment, I'm a white, middle-aged white woman. My hair is shoulder length, curly, auburn with a little bit of sparkly bits showing through, we'll say. I'm wearing brown dress pants, a brown suit jacket, a blue multicolored shirt, and polka dot socks, just for fun. So who is Public Works? So we are design asset management. We are project delivery for transportation capital projects. We are infrastructure maintenance and operations, the solid waste department, and traffic and parking management. So what's new since 2023 in Public Works? One of the big things that I wanted to make sure we touched on is the new accessibility regulations that the province has published, which is part of their accessibility legislation, which we've been anxiously waiting for. And so part of that work, those regulations now direct us to update our guidelines and standards to follow the Canadian Standard Association CSA B651. Because like us, they're government, they gotta have cool acronyms, the new standard around accessibility. So we've been working on updating some of our guidelines and standards to reflect that guidance from the province and from that Canadian standard. Our Winter Works team are undertaking a 5-year review of winter operations. We've been working with construction at the province on some new barriers during construction that are more detectable. So they have a detectable piece at the bottom where that wasn't the case before. We've made changes, again, working with the province on sign placement during construction so that they're further out of the way, and including some additional ramps and temporary crossings, which is new. Our traffic department is working on audible pedestrian signals, and we're working on bringing that forward to some of the other infrastructure more than just the traffic signals, so to the flashing beacons and things like that, working to make sure that the technology and the power sources can work with the buttons and the poles are the right width and can hold the wires and all that good stuff. One of the things we did last year, which I thought was particularly valuable for feedback, is we worked to create some trial tactile maps, working with CNIB to show some of the work that we were planning around town. And I've actually brought a few examples of those with me tonight. So afterwards, if you're interested, please come by and check those out. And we're very interested in feedback to see what may be working and what's not with those plans. One of the other things that I'm pretty sure is new since '23 is the use of tactile directional plates. So we may be more familiar with the tactile warning plates, which are sometimes known as truncated domes. They're the bumps that you'd see at ped ramps, at the top of stairs, and things like that. They're there to serve as a warning to let folks know that you're changing. So you may be entering in a place that you need to stop and make sure that you know what changes are happening. So top of a staircase, stop, make sure you know that something's changing, there could be some danger there. The directional plates are there to provide wayfinding, so they provide a different message. So I've got a small example again on the table for later that folks can check those out. We've also, working with our solid waste department, they have updated their guidelines for readability and clarity, both online and in print, including alt text and clear messaging. And they have also partnered with Direction Nova Scotia, which I believe are 32 agencies supporting persons with disabilities. And when they have events such as the mobile waste depots, they make sure that those have different kinds of access, so car access and transit, and they rotate around the municipality. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. Our next speaker is Kayode Taiwo, Development Engineer of Infrastructure and Planning, or Infrastructure Planning.
Hi, good morning or good evening. My name is Kayode Taiwo. My pronouns are he, him. I work with planning development, and my role is, under the planning development, we have a department called Development Engineering, and our role is to look at complex projects within the municipality, from high-rise buildings to subdivisions to what you see around the city right now. My department is involved with all the development within the city. Our role is to administer the bylaws to ensure that they're meeting the requirements as set in the bylaws. We're involved in making sure that the development project implements strategies that enforces that they're providing options for people to move around the site. So for example, if a sidewalk is closed, we implement crosswalks, or we have temporary walkways for people to move around the properties. The reason why some of the sidewalks are closed is because there's compromise on the when they put the foundation in for a garage. We cannot have people walking on top of the sidewalk because it's unsafe. So when there's options for us to provide the sidewalk on the street, we'll provide a walkway to allow people to move freely. If we cannot provide it because of the narrowing of the streets, we'll provide an option of crossing to ensure people can move freely. We're implementing tactile plates, and if you see most of our areas with closed sidewalk, we implement tactile plates to ensure people can see where the sidewalk is crossing. We provide the zebra crossing to ensure that visibility is there. We provide the RFB lighting along those sectors. We also have creative methods we've been implementing lately. For example, if you go down to Hollis Street, we have a container. We didn't want to close the bike lane, so we made sure that we had to allow accessibility of those guys that are using it, so that to maintain the use of the bike lane during those periods. We also administer the blasting bylaw, we administer the grading bylaw, all the different bylaws that you see in the municipality. Our role is very vast in terms of what we have to look at from the start of the project to the end of the project. So when the project is completed, my team makes sure we get all the required tactile plate at the ramps. We ensure that the sidewalk is paved according to the municipality's requirement. We ensure the bike racks are placed in place. We ensure that the trees are implemented. Anything that you see from the start of the project to the end, my team is involved in all aspects of that project. What else? So our goal is to always ensure that the citizens of HRM can move freely when we close sections of the road. So when we close streets and sidewalks, we post those stuff on our map online so you can track where the closure is going to be on the street. On major streets, when we have major closures, there's a PSA that goes out to the public to ensure that everyone's aware of the closure that's happening in the streets. We rely on the public to let us know when there's issues that are happening on the site, and we'll try our best to resolve the situation as soon as we can. We have a very small team, very powerful team, but we try to do our best to ensure that the progress of the city right now is moving forward without affecting the movement of people around the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Coyote. And last but not least, we have Alan Lenahan, Call Center Supervisor for Accessible Transit and Halifax Transit Services.
Thank you. So my name is Alan Lenahan, Call Center Supervisor, Accessible Transit with the Accessibus Division at Halifax Transit. It's an honor for me to participate in this town hall, and I thank you for the opportunity. Halifax Transit, our mission is to provide sustainable, reliable, and safe transit system for all. And this can only be achieved through a consistent commitment to accessibility. I can say with full certainty that all of us at Halifax Transit are dedicated to advancing and improving access to accessibility and have taken various initiatives to achieve this. So I'd like to take a moment to discuss some of those actions we've taken. From August to September of 2025, Halifax Transit has upgraded Woodside Ferry Terminal to include tactile indicators between bus bays. The sidewalk grade between parking lot staircase to the building entrance was improved, and we have added a pedestrian ramp to the sidewalk connection from the upper parking lot to the lower parking area. And as with any project, difficulties and delays arrive, to which this one was no exception. I must note that there was a contractor error regarding the installation of the plates, and they were located incorrectly. However, I'm happy to report that the planning is in process, meeting with the contractor to remedy this. We are also still waiting for the installation of the signage, and the signage will include raised text on the bay poles. Halifax Transit has made a commitment to have all bus stops in Halifax fully accessible by 2030. From April to September 2025, an audit of the accessibility of all transit shelters was ordered to identify physical barriers and make recommendations for the removal of said barriers. To date, 47 shelters have been audited. We have also been researching the design of a new shelter pad that meets CSA standard B651-2023. This standard includes requirements for making buildings and other facilities accessible to individuals with a range of physical, sensory, and cognitive disabilities. It is a new addition of a previous standard, and it addresses design aspects of physical spaces and the elements within them to remove barriers to access, including updated dimensions for platforms, tactile direction indicator positioning, and more based on current data from anthropometric research. A detailed explanation of luminance, color, contrast, and its application, updated guidance on addressing functional and cognitive barriers, and revised guidance for the controls and sizes of power-assisted doors. In more specific terms, to work directly related to infrastructure accessibility, we have performed upgrades to 25 bus stops within the urban transit service boundary to ensure they follow accessible standards. Where the ramp can be deployed, the bus stop has a concrete landing pad, minimum size 1.5 meters by 2.5 meters, with access to a sidewalk. In the past year, I am obliged to report that 31 accessible bus stops were upgraded by replacing damaged or uneven bus pads or increasing the size of the bus pad, keeping the classification as accessible. 12 non-standard bus stops were upgraded to accessible. 1 inaccessible stop was upgraded to accessible. 1 new stop was installed to the non-standard classification. 3 accessible stops were downgraded to non-standard due to site conditions. 1 accessible stop was removed from service. 5 accessible and 2 non-standard stops were removed and replaced with 9 new stops at new locations. I would be remiss in failing to mention resources here today. It's no secret the demand for accessible transit services has increased across the continent, and Halifax Transit is by no means immune to this increased demand. In response to this demand, we have purchased several new Accessibuses and are currently in the process of adding 6 into the rotation. We have recently conducted a requisition for the creation of a pool of 10 operators for our Accessibus division. In order that we are better able to manage the increase in resources and demand, we have revamped our organizational structure within Accessibus division. This included the creation of 2 new roles. One is a supervisor tasked with overseeing our inside staff. The other is a supervisor tasked with overseeing our bus operators. The intention behind the creation of these 2 new supervisor positions is to better focus the separate aspects of our Accessibus division towards increased efficiency and accountability. As with any organization, there is the possibility that we will become reliant upon traditions and routines that may become inefficient and outdated, unbeknownst to those in the organization. With this understanding, Halifax Transit has submitted a request for proposals to do a deep dive audit of our Accessibus policies and applications with regards to ensuring that we are servicing our clients and the citizens of Halifax in the most efficient fashion. With that, I would like to once again thank you for the opportunity to participate in today's town hall. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you everyone on our panel. That concludes the staff overview portion of tonight's meeting. So we're now going to open the floor to public participation. We're going to do one question. Well, we're going to rotate between questions from the room and then questions from online, which will be read by our lovely folks over there. Questions or comments. I just said that. Anyways, for participants who would like to ask a question here in Paul O'Regan Hall, there are 2 mic runners. Make yourselves known. One over here, one over there. Great. We will get you microphones. While I'm speaking, that's when they can get microphones. So just if you'd like to ask a question, signify that by raising your hand. Or if I spot you, I'll also try to direct traffic that way. I'm also keeping a lookout. And please remain in your seat, and our mic runners will come to you, and they'll hold the microphone for you. If you have a question that you ask and it can't be answered by staff this evening, or you would like to be contacted by a staff member after this meeting, please leave your contact information with someone at the Q&A table, and someone will get back to you about it. If you're submitting your question virtually in Zoom and you would like follow-up from staff, please also note this in the Q&A function, and staff will send an email early next week. In terms of ground rules for this question portion, one speaker at a time, especially because the live stream won't pick up your voice if it's not being mic'd. So just keep that in mind. So if there's crosstalk, half of it won't be heard. Please provide your name for the record and a community or organization if applicable. Please keep all comments respectful and respect all points of view and opinions expressed. We're going to really try very hard to limit comments to 3 minutes per person so that as many attendees as possible have an equal opportunity to participate. We have a timekeeper at the back that I'm going to be paying attention to. So I will make maybe some little time reminders, time checks. And I really hate to cut folks off, so just be considerate of how many other people are in the room and also probably have something really important to say. Already said that. If you would like to ask a question but you're not comfortable asking it into the microphone but you want it to be read tonight, feel free to bring that question over to the Q&A table as well, and someone can help you write it down, and then we can maybe bring it over to the other virtual Q&A table. There'll be a bit of an assembly line here, but it will be read, we'll make sure. And we're going to go back and forth, so I think we'll start our first question here at Paul O'Regan Hall. So who's got a question? I see a hand there and a hand here. one here. Down here, right? Yeah. Over here, right in the front. Yeah.
Hello.
Guess my concern, my name is John Den Hollander, and have the opportunity to use Metro Transit and as well as Accessibus. With Accessibus, I was told that there's actually a waiting list of 78 people and 150 that are added each month. With regards to that, getting on the bus, the suspension is not great, and the speed bumps really take a beating out of the passengers that use it, especially ones in a wheelchair. The biggest thing is the speed bumps, where not one of them is uniform. They're all either low or very high, and when the bus goes over them, it really does a number on us passengers. What can be done with regards to those issues?
Sounds like a transit question.
Transit front. Well, thanks for the question. I mean, I don't really have an answer on what can be done from a mechanical perspective to make the suspension better. But I do hear this concern from many of our clients on a regular basis. So it is a challenge. I will take that back so we can see if we can come up with an answer for you to get that back to you. But at this point, I don't have an answer from a mechanical perspective on what we would do to make the suspension softer.
Anyone else on the panel have an answer to that?
It's Ann Sherwood with Public Works. With respect to the speed tables and speed bumps, they are designed to a tolerance, and we do go back after they're built and survey them to make sure that they're built the right way. So if there are specific locations that you find are particularly troubling, please call 311 to Kim's team and let us know, and we'll go and make sure that those ones are built the way they're supposed to be. And they are built to have a parabola shape so that they're gentle on the way up and on the way down. So they're intended to slow people down, but also minimize the discomfort to anybody traveling over them. But it is designed to be a bump and designed to slow traffic down. So there will be a change.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to check over there. We got a question from online.
There is a question.
Cool.
So this is from Lois Miller, and then there's a question and a little bit of context. So how can the Halifax region maintain some accessible parking in areas of road and sidewalk construction is the question. And then the context that they had submitted was that they attended an event at the Rebecca Cohen on University Avenue. They went early to find an accessible spot. They were unable to do so. A number of spots were blocked off based on construction being in the area. So they had to park much further at a greater distance, and also just due to mobility and also the sidewalk, basically the condition of the sidewalks as well as construction in the area made the actual commute from the parking spot to the event much more challenging. And then they also outlined some concerns around signage being used and some signage not really being accessible or missing in the case, like having fallen down from the space saying that the sidewalks were closed or that construction was in the area. And then they stated that they felt that these projects are not really taking persons with disabilities into account. So who would like to take that on?
It's Ann again from Public Works. I'll do my best to answer that. So appreciate the question and the feedback. Construction is always challenging because by its nature, it's changing the situation. And anybody who's tried to renovate anything or tried to clean out the garage, it makes quite a mess before you're finished. That being said, we are working to improve our construction accessibility and to improve our wayfinding, so things like signage. With the parking, I'll take that back to construction. Part of the challenge is if the spaces that are there are part of the work that needs to be done. At some point, we do have to go in there and close them to fix and go back. So we do try to find ways to do that work as quickly as possible while maintaining an accessible path of travel around the site. Sometimes those two things, are sort of opposite. So the putting in some temporary stuff makes it take longer. So then you've got the temporary situation, which isn't ideal, for a little bit longer. So, but we're always, grateful for the feedback and always looking to make improvements. And I'll just also say that the work is not done. There's lots of things we can do to improve. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I saw a hand over here before in the green sweater, so I just want to make sure that, oh, you're right here. Great.
What was that? Oh, sure. That's good? Great. Thank you. So my name is Milena Kazanavicius. No test on the last name. I have a quick comment to 311. Your service is great. I really wish you were open earlier than 8:30, though, because a lot of problems arise before that. That's just a thumbs up on 311 and being quite responsive. 2 questions. One is for Coyote. We have met online. Construction barricades and barriers have been a problem for many years now. We made some strong movements forward, and it seems that it's all coming back again. Oxford Street, in the last 2 weeks, has had signs in the middle of the road saying sidewalk is closed. This does not work. Why they're there, nobody knows, around the former Oxford Theatre, okay? So when you have someone who's completely blind as myself or partially sighted to be in the middle of an intersection to have to turn around is dangerous. Halifax Water has put signs that are infringing upon sidewalks. They're the large orange square triangular ones. Not a person in a wheelchair, not a person with a stroller, nobody with a walker can get past. And this is really unnecessary when it's 3 to 4 streets of sidewalk before where the construction is. We need to have safe passage. Last but not least, what has happened to our temporary sidewalks? I'm not sure. I will give a thumbs up. The project that was on Windsor Street and Willow, I believe, had that section of sidewalk closed. There was a RRFB put there. Again, for those of us who are blind and partially sighted, we didn't know till up until the last month, and now it's removed. So thumbs up also for the RRFB that's on Windsor Street and further up towards Quinpool, where it's actually a locator button. And I hope this works because now we have equity to push a button to know that it's actually there to cross. That's for Coyote. What you can do to improve that, because we're getting tired of reporting to 311 and having to deal with this. And my second question goes to my friend Anne Sherwood, that biking infrastructure, despite what our lovely mayor thinks, is not causing traffic conditions. It's construction and bridge closures and everything else. However, the bike lanes that are being implemented, and Halifax Cycling Coalition has agreed, it is not working for people who are blind and partially sighted. I cannot and will not drop Almond and Windsor Street, where the one thing that we did ask for was to not put a crossing at an angle. And it is in an angle, and none of us can cross there now, given the fact that Halifax Water was working on the other side. There was nowhere to cross. It is dangerous. We can't judge the traffic. And despite what CSA standards says, it does not work in Halifax. The extended raised bike lanes in a crosswalk are dangerous. Halifax Cycling Coalition has agreed we can drop the bike lane to car level for the safety of everybody. I need that intersection fixed. So do the other 23,000 people who are living with sight loss in Halifax and across the region. Thank you. Good job, everybody.
Thank you. I'm going to turn it over to the panelists who have been asked specific questions here.
Hi, my name is Coyote Taiwo, development engineer. And a question in regards to the Oxford and Quinpool, I'm assuming. So that project, there's a couple projects happening in that corner. I think there was a couple of projects happening at that ramp. So there was a lot of work that was not with development, so kind of like got mixed together. So the one where development is working on is the one on the McDonald's, the old McDonald's site. So those ones we try to put signs and try to get them to cooperate. So the developer usually provide a construction management plan that talks about all the different level or stages of where they're going to put the signs and how they're going to reinstate the site. So our job, my team goes out on a patrol to make sure that they're putting the signs as required. But when we have mixed development project and other department projects happen at the same time, lines get crossed. So sometimes those things get missed. We appreciate the public letting us know, and we try to implement or address those issues as they come up. The one on Windsor and Willow, that project is wrapping up right now in terms of like the reinstatements. So they've reinstated the sidewalk, the tactile plates. The ramp was left open through the project. We try to keep that. We make sure that that ramp was left throughout the whole project, except when they had to do some reinstatement portion. The signage issue is an ongoing issue that we've had with developers, where at the start of the project they have all the signs in there, and over time it gets missing. People steal the signs, so it's a chasing effect. We're always chasing them, trying to implement those things. We always tell the developers that it's your responsibility to ensure that if your sign is stolen, you should maintain that at all times, because you need to provide signage and notification to everyone around the site to make sure that they are aware of the construction ahead of the project and how to move around the closed section of the street. This is something my team is constantly trying to improve and educate the contractors on. We appreciate you guys letting us know when things like this come up, and we try to address it as soon as we can. Thank you.
Did you want to answer, Ann?
Are we okay? Time. Okay,
Oh,
thanks.
yeah.
It's Ann Sherwood with Public Works. I just wanted to thank Melissa for the question and the comments on Windsor at Almond particularly. So that is a project that has, we added bike lanes to Almond Street, and at the set of traffic signals where the bike lanes now meet and the pedestrian crossing, it is a challenging place. It's a challenging design. One of the things that I would say is that, you know, we may not be as familiar with some of the CSA standards in Halifax, but it's really challenging for us to not follow them. So they are national standards, and we don't want to diverge too far from there, because that provides clear guidance across the country. So if we do things differently here, that can cause other challenges elsewhere. I do appreciate the feedback on the angled crossing, recognizing that is a challenge. One of the trade-offs for that we're still trying to work through, quite honestly, is if we don't have the diagonal, the angled crossing, we need to push the ramp a bit further back away from the intersection to make it perpendicular. And then that means that if you're coming along the sidewalk, you don't have a direct path of travel anymore. You have to turn the corner to find your way across. And I understand that is also a challenge. So trying to understand with each circumstance which is better in each circumstance. Sometimes it may not be what's there, but there is more work coming on Windsor Street, and more work coming later, so we can look at that corner and see if there's ways that we can make it better in the future. But I appreciate the comment, and just wanted to share. Meletta and I have been working together for, what did we decide, over a decade? Yeah. So really very much appreciate the constructive feedback over the years, Meletta. Thank you.
Still friends. We brought up the horns, but we're still friends.
Yeah. It's important to get the feedback, the hard questions. So we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Turning it over to online question.
All right, so another question. This is from Nicole Corrado. Does 311 have a text option for people who type to communicate?
We do not currently have text, but it is something we're looking at. We've brought a new telephony system in 2 years ago and added their email through to our telephony system. And then our next on the list was the video relay service. So it is something we're looking at. And I do not have a date, but I will take note of this. And if you want to leave the information, your contact information, we certainly can get back to you with some timelines.
Thank you. In the room, I think up here is where we were going. Cool. Thank you.
I'm just wondering, how do we determine how many, because I noticed there's a lot of parking questions here tonight. How does Halifax determine how many disabled parking spots there are around the city? This is kind of a two-parter question.
It's Ann with Public Works. Unfortunately, the parking department isn't the department that I work with most closely, so I don't know the answer to that right off the top of my head.
Well,
but it's
I'm
something.
just thinking, because I mean, you guys, sometimes you block disabled parking, because I use disabled parking too, and I have the same quandaries as these people, and I notice that our parking spots get moved sometimes because of disabled parking, and it's really hard. Like if you're going to a play, or you're going to a show, or you're going to an event, if there's no parking, like we only have like 1 or 2 or 3 within a 3 or 4 block radius, right? And so if there's 3 other people that are disabled going to that same event, it's kind of a race to get there, to get those 3 or 4 parking spots. But really, Nova Scotia has the highest amount of disabled people per capita in all of North America. And so I'm just, right? And so, I mean, you know, Google's doing studies here because we have so many disabled people, and we have the highest amount of elderly people, which I'm sure they're vying for those very same parking spots. So I'm just wondering, when Nova Scotia or HRM or whoever it is makes those decisions as to how many disabled parking spots we get in our streets here in the city, if they take it into consideration, how many parking spots do they place around downtown for us? You know, I mean, we literally get 1 or 2 or 3 spots within a 4-block radius. Like, I mean, I can almost tell you exactly where they are downtown. Like, there's, you know, so I'm just wondering how those decisions are made.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have the answer for with me, but if you want to leave your contact information, we can get to the parking department and get back to you on that.
Oh, wait, the microphone so that online can also hear you. And then we're going to go to online for this question.
Under provincial regulations, there's supposed to be a set number of accessible parking spots for a set number of regular parking spaces, and they've increased for the size of the parking spot. Like for 100 parking spaces, there's supposed to be 5 to 10 accessible parking spots. And that's under building code. So I can't think of the website right now, but I've read it several times. Yeah, and personal experience, there's never enough. From personal experience, there's never enough.
Thank you. I agree. I also park in those spots. Online.
All right, so Jeff Overmar said, when closing streets or posting construction signage, would it be possible for the signage to be placed on the street rather than creating hazards when signs are placed on the sidewalk? Construction zone or detour signage is currently placed haphazardly on sidewalks, often collapsed at night and left in unorganized piles. It's very hazardous for pedestrians.
Thanks. It's Ann from Public Works. So there are the question was around construction signage and placement. Thanks. There's new guidance from the province, and the signs are not supposed to be in the sidewalk. I'll say that. Sometimes they're placed there by the contractors when they shouldn't be, and then they're moved. Sometimes they get knocked over and they end up in the sidewalk where they shouldn't be. But they're definitely not supposed to be there. They're supposed to be in the boulevard if there's a grass boulevard. If there's no boulevard, they should be mounted on a sign. They should be mounted high enough so that nobody's going to walk into them. That has been a challenge in the past, I know. So those, they're not supposed to be there, but sometimes they get there. So we work with our construction inspectors and others to try and manage that and make sure that those are the kind of things that we're looking for when we're out on the road, to pick up and clean up and make sure that our contractors know what they're supposed to be doing.
They can always report that to us.
Yeah, and you can always call into 311, or if you happen to see an inspector around town, please let them know. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, in the room, I see a hand over here.
like to address some concerns and questions that I have regarding accessible transport, particularly with regards to Accessibus. So a little bit of background context about myself. I'm completely blind, I have a visual impairment, and I'm also a university student who happens to be in my 5th year of my undergraduate degree, getting ready to attend grad school, hopefully. So I have several concerns, as I mentioned. One of them being, I guess let me phrase the question like this. How does Halifax Transit prioritize trips for certain types of things that passengers or clients need? I understand that currently there is a need to prioritize certain types of medical appointments, and I have no issue with that whatsoever. As a person with several conditions that require regular, consistent medical treatment, I understand the importance of that, but there are other types of things that people like myself need to attend, such as regular classes and seminars and meetings in order to help us prepare for what's ahead of us and in order to keep up with our education. We also have a difficult time attending things like job interviews and even getting to a job regularly. If I were offered a job today, it's a good possibility that I would have to turn it down because I couldn't get there reliably. I have missed multiple classes because of the high demand that has been placed upon the Accessibus transportation system. So I guess my primary question with regards to that is, how do you plan to resolve those concerns? Look, what would that look like?
Hey, thank you. It's Alan Linehan, Halifax Transit. So one of the things that we're looking at, as I mentioned earlier, have a request for proposal to do a deep dive on the entire system. So that includes everything from the number of operators, how many buses, how the scheduling is done, the software that we use. So we're hoping that RFP is going to provide some solutions because we recognize that it is an issue and there are challenges we have far more demand than we have resources. So that RFP, which is done by an external organization, is hopefully going to highlight some of the inefficiencies we have and give us the ability to take some steps to correct those and remove the barriers that you're seeing. As far as how we do prioritize medical first. Then it would go down to employment and school and recreational. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to turn it over to online questions again.
All right, this was submitted from a community member. They found themselves in a challenging scenario last April. They are a power wheelchair user and had booked an accessible cab, but the system didn't record the trip. Then at 11 p.m. they were stuck downtown, tried to call Accessibus, but the offices were closed. They called 311 emergency line and didn't get an answer. And then they had eventually called 911 and were transferred to police, who told them that they could take an ambulance home at a price tag of $700 and they would not be able to transport the chair. This is a series of unfortunate events and reveals a gap in emergency services for those with accessibility needs. In a scenario like this, who should someone call?
It's Alan Linehan from Halifax Transit. So in the event that you're looking for a trip or you need a trip and our TR or our, everything is closed, if you call and leave a message on the cancellation line, that message is then sent through to our dispatchers. So leave your name, your number, tell them what you're looking for, and they call you back. So while you can't get through to our trip reservations because they're shut down, you can leave a message, and those messages go through to the dispatchers right up till the time they leave at for around midnight is when they're out of there. So up until that point in time, we do have somebody that can get back to you. But you do have to leave a message on the cancellation line, goes to the dispatch, and wait for them to call you back.
Thank you. So it's 7:30, so we're going to take two more questions, one from room, one from online. I saw your hand up a little while ago, so I'm going to give you the question. hope I didn't miss people on my periphery.
My name is Daryl McDonald. I'm an Army veteran, and I'm a T11 paraplegic and have been for 27 years because of my service. I recently moved to the Bedford West area, and my concern is directed to Ann, representing Public Works. On the afternoon of October 17th, I traveled independently from 1000 area of Cardinal Lake Road, Larry Utah, which is in Bedford South, over the two roundabouts, over to Bedford South. And there's a walkway that runs on the north side of those two roundabouts that's over the highway. I found several cracks in the walkway which caused problems with my chair, this chair, and the walkways that are on the south side are not accessible grade. And I had, they're not the proper acceptable grade, and the poles where the light switches need to be pushed back further so they're not right on the ramp. At one point, I'm holding my chair while on the ramp while trying to reach for the button. And that was a bit of anxiety for me, because if I had dropped the other hand, I'm right into the traffic. And coming back, I almost got hit by a young lady who was coming off the 102 inbound, where the transition health building was being built. I crossed over, the truck had stopped for me to cross over, but the second car coming off didn't stop until after the crosswalk. And she didn't realize I was there. If I had been a second sooner, or she'd been second sooner, I would have been sitting on her hood. And my military vernacular came out for momentarily. But that whole walkway needs to be excessively reassessed.
Sure, thanks. It's Ann Sherwood from Public Works. What I may ask you to do is we can chat after to make sure I know exactly the spots that you're looking at so that we can look at it. I will say that the bridge and the two roundabouts that are right there, a lot of that infrastructure is provincial because it goes over the highway. So we can I can find some contact information and provide that feedback back to the Nova Scotia Public Works Department, and they would maintain the bridge and the ramps. And I'll get some more details from you later about the push buttons, and so I know exactly what location you're talking about. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is our last question because we are coming up to our time. But if you didn't get a chance to have your question answered, we're still hanging out here for a while. Afterwards, you can talk to the HRM folks one-on-one. There's also booths in the back of people who weren't able to be on our panel. So there's lots of ways to chat with somebody. And if you're not sure who to go to, let somebody here know who looks like they know what they're doing. The last question goes to online, so go ahead.
All right, so this is from Carol Arsenault. So it's for Accessibus. What exactly are all the new people going to do to improve user experiences? Is it same-day trips, improve scheduling? What about online scheduling? Will it be less time driving around? They've asked for some clarification. And are you going to get more accessible taxis to reflect the increased population growth and demand?
Okay, it's Alan from Halifax Transit. As far as accessible taxis, I don't really have any insight on that. We are looking at expanding the service if we, trying to. We have a rec-in for 10 operators now, so that's going to add to our ability to provide service. There is potential of expansion in the future where we're supposed to get additional buses. That will add other shifts. I don't have a timeline on that, so I do know it's upcoming. We're also doing some things to hopefully make it easier to book in the near hopefully in the near future, we are going to implement an online booking system, which has been in the works for quite some time, I'm aware. We are in the process of upgrading our software this month to enable that to occur. So it is coming closer to fruition. I don't know, I don't have an exact date, but again, if you leave your contact information, that we can get that information back to you. So that's basically what we're doing at this point to improve the scheduling process.
Thank you. I think we're gonna, maybe we can get someone to take a note of it, because I do want to make sure that we get to our booth section, and we are at 7:36. Okay. Thank you all very much for everyone who came and hung out and asked questions and participated in this panel. I know that this happens every year, every town hall, where there's just not enough time to get through to everybody. It means that everyone is passionate and has something to say, and that is really exciting to see. But thank you for participating. I'm going to bring the panel to a close. A reminder to participants at Paul Regan Hall who did not get the chance to have a question asked or provide feedback, please consider providing them in writing at the Q&A table so that we can send them to the right person, or if you feel more inclined to have a conversation one-on-one with somebody. Everyone who's on this panel has a booth set up, which we're going to open the curtains, and then you'll be able to see all those booths. And then there's also some other folks there, back there, like the Accessibility Directorate from the province, and Parks and Rec, and some other folks who we just didn't have enough time for on the panel, so lots of people to still talk to. And for folks who left their questions or comments in Zoom, a follow-up email will be sent to you with the email that you registered with. Thank you very much to our business representatives, or business unit representatives who joined us to provide updates and respond to all these questions and comments from our community. Thank you very much to the staff and volunteers, the committee, and our city councilors who are here, who worked really hard to make tonight's event possible, who came to participate and show support. There are our city councilors who are on the committee, and there's also some other city councilors here who are not on the committee, so thanks for coming out. I can announce some of them. I forget one of their names. So, I mean, I know everyone on the committee. Yeah, I can tell you who's on the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Jean Saint-Amand, Laura White, and Trish Purdy is over there. So those are our and Janet Steele. Janet Steele. And that's the counselors here. Cool, thank you. Also, thank you very much to our ASL and deaf interpreters, to the CART captioning staff. I feel like I'm doing the tech thank yous after a play. And thank you very much to the Halifax Central Library for partnering with us. I also want to especially shout out Elizabeth over there and Melissa, who's right beside me. I can't remember what direction this is, my right, for doing, I would say most of the work to make this event happen. And in general, keeping our committee on task and make, us knowing what we're supposed to be doing because of these two staff members. So extra thank you to these two folks. Want to give them a little clap. All right, and again, thank you for coming out, for sharing your concerns. We will be taking all of this information back with us as well to the committee to be able to create our work plan for the year. Also, a little plug for the committee, nominations, if you're interested in being part of the Accessibility Advisory Committee and putting on this event next year, but also coming to monthly meetings and talking about stuff. Nominations opened this afternoon at 12 p.m. and they close Wednesday, November 26th at 11:59 p.m. If you're interested in hearing more about what we do on this committee, feel free to flag one of us down and we will tell you about it. And with that, I will call this year's town hall to a close at 7:39 p.m. And now I'll just invite everybody to please get more food. We have so much. And I only brought 2 Tupperwares for myself, so make sure you take more. And please visit us at the booths and hear more about what's going on. And there's loot and prizes and things. So, yay, thank you.